The night that changed history, April 14, 1912. The North Atlantic Ocean was calm. Too calm. The world's largest, most luxurious ship, RMS Titanic, was sailing toward New York City. On board were over 2,200 passengers and crew, dreaming of a new life, success, and freedom. They believed one thing with absolute confidence: this ship cannot sink. But just a few hours later, Titanic would disappear beneath the icy ocean, taking more than 1,500 lives with her. So the question remains, why did Titanic sink? Was it really just an iceberg? Or was it a chain of deadly human mistakes? Tonight, we uncover the full truth. The ship that was unsinkable, Titanic, was built by White Star Line, the most powerful shipping company of its time. She was 882 feet long, weighed over 46,000 tons, had 16 watertight compartments, and could carry more than 3,000 people. Newspapers proudly called her practically unsinkable. That belief created dangerous confidence. Titanic wasn't just a ship, she was a symbol of human pride, technology, and power. And that pride would later become her greatest weakness. The iceberg warnings that were ignored. On April 14, Titanic received at least 6 iceberg warnings from other ships. Messages like, "Heavy ice ahead, large ice fields," reported dangerous conditions. But here's the shocking truth. These warnings were never fully delivered to the bridge. Some were ignored. Some were delayed. Why? Because Titanic was moving fast. Too fast. Captain Edward Smith wanted to maintain schedule, impress wealthy passengers, and possibly retire in glory. So Titanic continued at 22.5 knots, nearly full speed. Straight into an ice field. The deadly night conditions. The night Titanic struck the iceberg was deceptively peaceful. No moon, no wind, no waves. Sounds safe, right? Actually, it was extremely dangerous. Without waves, there was no white foam breaking against icebergs. The iceberg was almost invisible to make binoculars were missing. Lookouts relied only on their eyes. By the time the iceberg was spotted, it was already too late. The collision that sealed fate. At 11:40 p.m. Titanic struck the iceberg. It wasn't a massive crash. No explosion. No panic. Just a long, quiet scrape along the side. But that scrape caused fatal damage. The iceberg punctured 6 watertight compartments. Titanic could survive 4. 5 was risky. 6 meant death. The ship was doomed within minutes, even if no one realized it yet. The fatal design flaw here is something most people don't know. Titanic's watertight compartments did not go all the way to the top. As the ship tilted forward, water spilled from one compartment to the next like ice cubes tipping over in a tray. It was a slow, unstoppable chain reaction. Titanic wasn't sinking fast. She was sinking inevitably. Class division and human tragedy. Now comes the most heartbreaking part. There were not enough lifeboats. Why? Because regulations were outdated. And lifeboats cluttered the deck. High third-class survival rate, shockingly low. This wasn't just a disaster. It was a social tragedy. Panic, heroism, and final moments. As the ship tilted higher, panic spread. But so did heroism. The band kept playing. Crew members guided passengers. Some men stepped back so others could live. At 2:20 a.m., Titanic broke apart. The bow sank first. The stern rose into the air. Available, 20 people on board, 2,200 plus. Worse still, third-class passengers were delayed. Language barriers caused confusion. Gates and corridors slowed escape. Statistics reveal the cruel truth. First-class survival rate, high. Third-class survival rate, shockingly low. This wasn't just a disaster. It was a social tragedy. Panic, heroism, and final moments. As the ship tilted higher, panic spread. But so did heroism. The band kept playing. Crew members guided passengers. Some men stepped back so others could live. At 2:20 a.m., Titanic broke apart. The bow sank first. The stern rose into the air. Then, silence. Hundreds were left in freezing water at 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Most died within minutes. Where was help? The nearest ship, SS Californian, was close enough to help. But its radio operator was asleep. Another ship, Carpathia, received the distress call but arrived over an hour too late. By the time help arrived, Titanic was already history. The real reasons Titanic sank. So why did Titanic really sink? Not because of one reason, but because of human arrogance, ignored warnings, speed over safety, poor design decisions, class inequality, and delayed rescue. The iceberg was just the trigger. The disaster was man-made. Titanic's legacy. Titanic changed the world forever. Because of her, lifeboat laws were rewritten, ice patrols were created, maritime safety improved. Her wreck still lies 12,500 feet below the ocean, silent, broken, but unforgettable. Titanic reminds us that technology alone doesn't make us invincible. Pride can sink even the strongest ship. And every life lost that night deserved better. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and comment. Right pointing finger emoji. Do you think Titanic could have been saved?